Leverage is a tool that has the ability to boost your investment returns. This video will explain how that tool works, the risks of using leverage, and some easy ways to get access to it, all in under 4 minutes. Let's begin. Leverage, also known as gearing, is basically just borrowed money. The effect of this borrowing magnifies investment returns, both up and down. How does it do that? Let's use an example. Say you have $100 to invest in the share market. Usually, you can invest that amount into shares and see a 1-to-1 return on your investment. If the shares go up by 10%, then the value of your investment goes up by $10. But now imagine that you have $100 and borrow an additional $100 to invest. You now have a total of $200 and you invest that in shares. If the shares go up by 10%, your investment value goes up by $20. This capital gain of $20 is 20% of your initial investment of $100. If you were to then sell your shareholdings for a total of $220, you could repay the $100 you borrowed and have a final investment holding of $120. This example doesn't consider interest charged on the borrowed amount, but that's the general idea. In this way, leverage multiplies investment returns. The same principles apply when using debt to buy property with a mortgage. Leverage is a double-edged sword. Investors using leverage get the benefit of additional returns when their investments are up, but they also suffer the consequences of multiplied losses when their investments go down. For this reason, leverage greatly increases volatility and risk of investments. Usually, getting leverage on investments like shares is quite a complicated process. You need to apply for a margin loan, which will often have high interest expenses. You'll also need to monitor your investment because if it falls too much in value, the lender of the loan will ask for a greater deposit to ensure that you can still repay your debt. This is called a margin call. Leveraged ETFs, however, can help. These are ETFs that borrow money to obtain their gearing. With these ETFs, management of the loan is conducted by the ETF provider. The ETF provider manages the process of borrowing and any margin calls. Because ETFs are often borrowing at larger scales, they can also access lower interest rates. As an investor, you can buy a leveraged ETF and leave the complicated internal processes to the professionals. Most ETFs in Australia are leveraged at 2 to 3 times, meaning they borrow enough to provide 2 to 3 times the returns on a given asset class, like the ASX 200. For more information on leveraged ETFs, check out the links in the description. But that's a brief summary in under 4 minutes.